see a lot of familiar faces here, but we do this to sort of just hear about one another and learn more about one another, and also particularly for agents that are sort of starting out or sort of in a mushy place in their careers, I think it's just really grounding to hear that every single story is unique unto itself, and we all sort of find traction in our own ways, and it's sort of, I hope it empowers people to understand that every one of us has an X factor, and just sort of finding what that is. Because something happened for Robert Jones at some point in his career where something clicked into place and things started to really happen. And I want to try to get into the essence of what that was for him. What a great human being this is. Don't we all love him?
Yeah.
I mean, what a gorgeous person.
Oh.
I don't even remember when I first met you, except that the interactions that we had, the professional interactions we had a different cadence, had a different tone. It was so loving and professional and playful and sweet and sincere, and that's when I was first like, who is this guy? Writing these great offers and just such a delight to work with. So I'm excited to hear more about you, because one thing I always say in my life, this happened particularly in our kids' school, is like, we are surrounded by really intriguing and interesting and complex people in the Bay Area, but we're all running around with our hair on fire, so we don't stop to get to know each other often enough. So thank you for letting us stop to get to know you today, Robert.
So true. You're most welcome. And thanks everyone for coming out. It's so good. I appreciate it.
All right, Robert.
Yeah.
Where and when were you born?
Where and when was I born? I told Samantha that she was like, you have to have a little musical interlude. So
let's go.
We'll be giving some blues. I was born in the Bronx. On cold winter's night in 1970, New Year's Eve, 1970, the Beatles were just breaking up.
No, that's your answer.
There you go.
So did you grow up in the Bronx?
I did not. My family moved out of the Bronx in the early 70s, as was the style of the time, as the Bronx was on fire in the early 70s. My grandmother stayed there, so I would go visit her. So I was in the Bronx a lot as a kid, which was great.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. And she lived there her whole life. She's like, I'm not driving. I was like, okay.
So your grandmothers lived there?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
For her whole life. Yeah, and she was just such an inspiring person. So she's like one of the first people who really inspired me. Her work ethic was out of control. She was the primary breadwinner for the family. My grandfather was more or less a professional gambler, but not degenerate. He knew what he was doing. Blackjack was his game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Never got the gambling bug myself. My grandmother loved to play. She loved to play.
Yeah.
But she was also a super hard worker, and she worked for International Flavorings and Fragrances, IFF.
Doing what?
Starting off as a secretary, and then she was a high-level executive accountant by the end of her journey.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
For a woman.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Born in the 20s, like coming out of the 40s.
This was stacked against her.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So inspiring.
Yeah.
Inspiring. Fortunate to have a lot of inspiring women
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you went right to your grandparents. Where are your parents?
My father, well, my mother died when I was pretty young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember her?
Vaguely, but more through stories and songs and such.
Okay.
Yeah, but my father raised me and my two brothers, so it was a household of like boys. And he didn't have quite the work ethic that my grandmother had.
Right.
So that's also one of the things that inspired me to get into real estate, and is always sort of an ember, a passionate ember, because we moved a lot. Like in the same little central Jersey community, we were moving like sometimes every 6 months, every year and a half.
Why would you move?
Well, he's a great guy. He taught me how to play guitar, taught me my first chords and all that.
Yeah.
But he was not really into holding jobs for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
So there was instability in your childhood.
Instability.
Yeah.
Yeah, instability, absolutely.
But
Lights going off, phones going off. Oh no, what's gonna happen? Are the lights on today? I don't know.
So we're gonna move again.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. And your grandmother was a source of more stability.
She was more of a source of stability, yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever live with her?
No,
Okay.
no.
So your dad kept you guys afloat.
He did that.
Yeah. What did he do?
Rocking. He was a pressman, union pressman.
What's a pressman?
So that's a printer.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was with the union, but that kind of fell out of good favor with the union later on. So he worked for all these like little print shops. So you do newspapers, magazines, album covers, posters, that kind of stuff. Printing.
What do you think was his obstacle to hanging on to two jobs?
You know, I think depression.
Okay.
You know, I really do. I think largely depression because, you know, I mean, he lost the love of his life, you know, early. You know, she was a young girl. She was 28 years old when she passed. Very sad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough for him.
So you were really young.
Yeah, I was 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are you in the order of your siblings?
Middle kid. There you go, rock and roll. Be a good negotiator.
Right. So you're in Central Jersey
Yeah,
up until what age?
up until, I moved out when I was like 18 or 19, I think. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're moving around Central Jersey, and I assume you go to public school in
Yeah,
Central Jersey?
public school. Now, that's another thing, to Dad's credit, rock and roll.
Yeah.
He kept us in the same school system.
Wow.
So we were like a little gypsy within the same like school system, which was good.
Yeah.
You know, not having to change schools every time you move, that would have been a lot.
What were you like as a kid?
Weird kid, man.
That's
Weird
good.
kid.
Weird
Yeah.
how? What is weird?
No. I mean, I always liked, you know, performance things, so being involved in like choruses and school theater, not really an athletic kid, more gravitated toward the arts
Yeah.
and that kind of a thing.
What did
Yeah.
they do for you in the arts?
What did they do for me? Well, they provided a place where I could escape, for one,
Yeah.
and just sort of like be in a world where I'm creating what's happening.
Right.
You know, so I used to draw and paint and do all that kind of stuff. But then I found that I was like erasing more than I was drawing. And then I discovered guitar. And I was like, whoa, I can just start again? No kidding. No erasing, just, all right, next take, let's go.
When did you discover guitar?
Probably around 15 or so. My older brother was a really fantastic drummer in a punk rock band that of some notoriety. He opened up for like the Bad Brains and some cool bands, down there on the Jersey scene. So he had like there was basically a rock band living with us when I was like in my teens. So that was fun. And his guitar player taught me a lot. So where my father's sort of cowboy chords left off, I was like, okay, let's find out what this guy's doing and stuff.
So was there music in your house before
yeah.
you started playing?
Oh yeah,
Did
there was
your
always
dad play for you?
he would play. Yeah, there would always be like a guitar laying around. I remember I watched Earl Scruggs once. I think I was like 12. I was like, oh, I gotta play me some banjo. That looks really interesting. And I was terrible at it.
Yeah.
But then that kind of like sat in the corner for a long time. Then I started to play with my father's guitar, learn how to tune it, learn how to like do some basic stuff. And yeah, the guitar has been like a companion for forever.
That word was in my head right before you said it. Were your grandparents musical?
Nope.
Okay. It started with your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your brother's a drummer.
Brother's a drummer, and then my younger brother was he plays some bass and guitar.
Yeah. So you're 16. You're in high school.
Yeah.
What's going on with Robert Jones?
You know, just sort of like coasting through school, not really performing, not really excelling in that department, not an academic guy. More of an autodidact. Always loved reading and stuff like that, but I never really
I don't know that word.
did the school thing. I sort of self-educated.
Okay.
I read what I wanted. I learned what I liked.
Autodidact.
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll put it in my brain.
Yeah. So I was reading like things. I remember I was like 16 and walked down to the library and stuff because I started to get interested in like spiritual things, spirituality. You know, probably an offshoot of like listening to the Beatles. Got into the Beatles heavy when I was like 14, 15. I was like, I want to learn more about this stuff. George Harrison is just blowing my mind. And I thought I was going to gravitate toward more like Hindu kind of stuff. And I discovered Lao Tzu, The Wisdom of Lao Tzu, the Lin Yutan version from like the 1940s. And that book just blew me away.
Yeah.
And that led me to Zen,
Yeah, you're seeking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Zen led me to Chan. So I met a Chan master in my, was 20 years old or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like teaching out of a group near Rutgers University. And he would spend 6 months in Taiwan, 6 months in New York.
Yeah.
And I started doing my retreats with him when I was like 21.
So where did the seeking take you?
Took me to like Dharma centers,
Yeah.
places where I would sit quietly
Yeah.
for like long periods of time.
Yeah. And what was that doing for your spirit, your soul, your well-being?
It was creating a more open place where I was less attached to like me as a thing and more about, okay, well, what is this experience? What is this? What is this?
Were there alternate states of consciousness during this time?
Yeah. I'll say. Sure. So the Beatles also lead to the Grateful Dead, and then I'm doing Grateful Dead tours and stuff like that. So yeah, alternate states of consciousness, not a familiar with some of those things. But one of the things that attracted me to like Zen practice and being like, just all right, what's going on here? Because you can have experiences with substances, and there's a lot of great research going on right now in that department for people seeking therapies. But what is it? Like what's going on there? So I really wanted to get in there and see, all right, well, is this a delusion or is there something more? And it's my experience, I think it's something more.
You're 20 and you're asking big questions.
Yeah, why not?
Have you asked these big questions your whole life?
I guess, yeah. Weird kid stuff. You're 12, 13, 14, did the scouts and all that kind of stuff. I always enjoyed engaging with people philosophically, but also like humor.
Yeah.
It's like, no one really knows what any of this is, but it's kind of interesting to find out. I'm sort of left with where the universe experiencing itself.
So you chose not to go to college, I'm taking it.
Correct, Mundo.
Okay. So what was your first gig?
Oh my. So grandma tried to get me a job like at a picker and packer at the IFF factory, like near the Jersey Shores. No one was hiring. The year was 1991 and it was rough out there. Yeah, all right. Story time. I'll try and consolidate
Does
this.
this involve a harmonica?
Could.
All right.
Maybe.
I'll encourage you.
Thank you. All right, well, so I was living with a girlfriend at the time. Savings are now depleted. I'm working like nights with her parents doing office cleaning. Had to find something, couldn't find anything.
Right.
And I wound up being a drive-through cashier. Full-time drive-through cashier at Burger King. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, this unfortunate thing turned very fortuitous.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm just gonna do my job. I'm just gonna do it. Okay, we're gonna do this thing where I'm basically like learning how to count change, which is fun because I didn't have that skill before. Counting change is good. Because back then in the 90s, you couldn't do it on the computer. But anyway, so I would have fun with the drive-through thing. I'd have moments. And I had my regulars, and one of my regulars I didn't realize was watching me from afar. And then one day, this woman kind of drives through, hey, how you doing, all this, and she gives me a card. She's like, come to the office, we're down the street, we want to have a conversation with you. So there's a law office down the street, real estate law. Oh my, residential real estate machine, as it turns out.
Burger King to law.
Yeah.
Let's just connect that down for a minute.
Well, the guy, Nick, who I'm still in contact, he's like a mentor to me. Love this guy, Nick Mariano. He's like, this guy, he gets the orders right. There's always napkins, there's always forks and knives. They come, look at him go, all that stuff. So they brought me in, and my job for them at first was to organize their closed file system.
Right.
Bankers boxes stacked upon bankers boxes, just a mess.
Yep.
After I did that, done, okay, that's like a summer gig, I figured that was gonna be it, been so nice. They're like, let's have a conversation. I was like, okay. They're like, we want you to run the front desk here. We want to hire you. You're gonna do the receptions. Okay, that's pretty cool. Here's my problem with that. I don't type. And this is still early 90s. You walk into an office like, sounds like a newsroom, all the clicky clacks of the typewriters. I don't type. I've never worked on computers before, so I don't know anything about that. And I have absolutely no clothes that would be appropriate for this gig.
Right.
And they were like, if you guarantee to work here for 6 months, we're gonna give the office manager some funds. She's gonna take you clothes shopping.
They saw your potential.
Yeah.
They invested in it.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, we're not here because we're here, bootstrapping all the way. There's so many people we can think about in our lives who help us out, you know, who just lift us along. And that was one of those experiences. And I worked with them in that capacity for like 4 years. And then I got hired away to a mortgage company where I was an executive assistant to a mortgage guy, which was fun. And then Nick gives me a call about 1.5 years later. He's like, we need you back. You're coming back. You're gonna be a closing coordinator. We need you. So I got to get forward a little bit, which was fun.
Usually
And,
that increases your pay.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. So they went back and forth a couple of times, and then, bam, now I'm in a paralegal capacity.
Right.
And over there, you can have on-the-job training, unlike in California where you need a certificate and all that kind of stuff to be a paralegal. On the East Coast, or at least at that time, you can have on-the-job training and just do the thing. So, and there, it's an attorney escrow state. So real estate agents get their people into contract, that contract goes to an attorney for a 3-day attorney review where the terms are kind of finalized, and then it goes to the paralegal pool where we drive it to close, negotiating the home inspections, keeping the mortgage company and the title company on the same page, and keeping the agents posted on all of the things.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that we do here as agents is handled by attorneys in New Jersey, New York, and some other states.
So when do you venture into like living independently?
Oh, well, that was when I was 19, so that was living with the girlfriend, but we had our own little apartment.
Yeah.
You know, that relationship kind of fell apart, which is fine.
Yeah.
And she did well for herself. Go, Mary, no, good job. Always cool. But you know, we were young. So then I was like, just, you know, living in an apartment, and then, me and my younger brother in 1994 just cobbled together what we could to get, because the lending back in the 90s was very different. So you had all these like no income verification, 0 down payment kind of 5-year arm, and we were able to buy this little house in Piscataway.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we bought a little house, rented out every room, and had 3 days practicing in the basement, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was like the Jefferson Airplane House in Piscataway, New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
How long was that chapter?
About 10 years.
All right.
Yeah, and I, worked for the law office, the mortgage company, then the law office again.
How
and
much
did
financial
dance and
stability were you getting out of this?
Well, from the law office, I was doing okay for the time in that world, which was about 30-ish K a year. And then whatever I could like scrape out of the club and night.
But I mean, also you're a landlord. You and your brother are
Yeah.
landlords.
So we
sort of
spread
covered
rooms. Oh yeah.
living expenses?
It did. You know, there were tight months and months that were better than others, but we always made our payments, and we did well when we sold that house. We sold it for like twice what we paid for it, so it was good. Kind of fun.
Why did you sell?
I wanted not to be a landlord anymore.
Yeah.
And I was in a different relationship. I wasn't living in the house anymore. I sold it to my drummer.
Okay.
Yeah, and he lived there and improved the house for a couple of years. Then he sold it. It's just such a different place right now.
So you're like a paralegal by day and a musician by night.
Yep.
And a landlord.
And a landlord.
Those are your many monikers at this point.
Absolutely.
All right. So where are we in your age range right now?
So this would be mid-20s or so.
All right. Take us up to 30.
So yeah, 30, sold a house, just kind of coasting, still working at the law office, probably making just a little more money, but we put out the CD in 1999, we didn't get signed, so we were doing different things. One of the bands broke up, I joined another band, so I'm still kind of like doing it, but I felt really stuck in place.
Yeah.
So when I was around 39, my now wife Samantha, who was already out here, was coming to the East Coast for a conference. She's an environmental scientist. She used to specialize in water and sediment toxicology. Freaking rock star.
Sexy.
Yeah. Sexy. Dredged materials. Girl. Anyway, so she was coming up for a conference. We were friends since like high school. college age, rather.
Okay.
Because she went to school in Stockton, it's now a university, it was a college at the time, big environmental program, that's where my drummer went, and you go where the drummer goes.
Why?
You know, because he has the most gear, so you gotta practice at his space.
Okay.
Absolutely. So that's where I met Samantha, and we were buddies, we were friends, we were in the same friend group, but she was always had somebody she was dating, I always had somebody I was dating, and all that kind of stuff. 2008, she comes out for the conference kind of thing. We kind of kept in touch. We'd see each other at a party once or twice a year. It was always a good vibe, but the timing wasn't right. So my joke is I was in the friend zone for 20 years. She came out. She wasn't with anybody at the time. Facebook's a thing now, so we could see who's single and who's in a relationship. And apparently, we were both kind of checking each other out, which is great. And dinner turned into 4 days, and then 6 months later, I lived in Berkeley, California with Samantha.
Wow. Okay.
Just let it all go. And it was a good time because the real estate market was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? So we went from a closing machine at that law office doing like 150 closings a month to doing like 22 closings a month in 2008, 2009. So it was kind of an interesting time. And when I was coming out, my father was like, why are you leaving to go try and do real estate when there's 11% unemployment in California and the real estate markets and all those kinds of things? And I was like, well,
It's a fair question.
it is.
Yeah.
Fair question. And I have no contacts.
Yeah.
Zero contacts out here.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, the way I was looking at it was, and knowing the agents that I was with over there in Jersey, and seeing those agents, people weather storms.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn from the people who were weathering storms here, who had survived the .com thing, like 2001, 2004,
Yeah.
you know, and the different sorts of cycles that we've had. It's like, I want to learn from, you know, it's like there's been a big forest fire, sorry for that analogy, and I want to hang out with the trees that are still thriving.
So, 2008.
Yep.
Samantha's living here. You come out here and join her.
2009.
You know nobody.
No one.
How did you get your feet underneath you?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, and the guy who was the most supportive of the move was Nick Mariano.
Okay.
He's like, do it, now is the time.
Yeah.
Do it, go, do it.
Because the whole industry is in flux, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, go for it. So what I did was I got out here, I didn't listen to the news at all, and I had to find a day job. So 28 days later, Samantha was like, don't worry about it, I was stressed. I was like, I don't get a job, you know, I don't have a big degree behind me or different things.
Right. And you've been hustling your whole life.
Yeah. She was like, you're from the East Coast, you're gonna show up for an interview and they're gonna hire you. She was right. I had to push out a lot of resumes to get an interview, but one of the first firms that I applied for got a job at on Sansone Street in San Francisco at the law offices of Horowitz and Tigerman. Really cool little law firm, small plaintiff's firm that handled asbestos law. Convenient educational opportunity. Because I got to learn all about asbestos, what's friable, what's not friable, what's problematic, what's not problematic, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was great, and I worked with them. I got my license in 2010, but I kept my day job for another 2 years.
Okay.
And I was doing real estate at night and on weekends.
What does that mean, doing real estate?
Means I got my license, and my first office was just outside of the Orinda BART station because it was close, the little village there. So I started working at what is now Compass, then it was Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah.
With some good agents, but it wasn't a really great experience. So what it meant was I was going there, trying to learn stuff, trying to learn from people, watching what is happening transaction-wise, and trying to host open houses on the weekends. But it was a slog, especially with a day job, holy slog. In 2011, my first real year as an agent, I did one transaction.
Right.
2012, my second year as an agent with a day gig, one transaction.
Yeah.
And then August 2012, I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta push all in.
Yeah. What was your first transaction? How did it come to you?
Open house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody walked in, you represented them as a buyer.
Yeah. Still in touch today.
Yeah.
Be in touch with your people.
2012, you did one transaction.
One transaction.
Where did it come from?
Office walk-in.
It used to be a thing.
Used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a thing. So I was doing floor duty and office
So
walk-in.
you just, so So you decided to push all in.
Yep.
So you've only got a few transactions under your belt, you've been doing this for a while, you now know the business, I would imagine. You've
Yeah.
heard all the conversations, you've
Oh,
got all the
sure.
contracts.
Yeah, and I played with a lot of contracts on the East Coast and did it over there.
Right.
And the nuts and bolts are the same.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So what did pushing in look like to you?
Scary.
What did that mean in terms of your day?
It meant what my strategy was to push all in, leave Better Homes and Gardens, which was not a very supportive brokerage. And I looked to Sotheby's because I knew them from the East Coast. I liked the history, I liked all that kind of stuff, and I thought it was a cool brand. So I joined Sotheby's, and my strategy from there was to get on a team.
Yeah.
Start shadowing some top producers, and get myself into a team. That's where I joined Anthony's team, and Anthony was great.
Yeah. And you and Anthony worked together for a long time.
10 years.
Yeah. And he was really well established at that point.
Oh my goodness, that guy was killing it.
Yeah. Anthony Riggins, for
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, wonderful.
And you were more or less his buyer's agent.
Yeah, it was me, there was another agent on the team, Nicole Tamayo, who still does wonderful work. No, not Nicole Mendoza.
Not
Yeah. She was through the tunnel now, but she still does a lot of work.
Nicole's terrific.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
She really is. And Shannon, his assistant, she was great.
Yeah.
And my idea was I'm gonna shadow this guy. So we set up a shadow appointment.
Yeah.
Couldn't make it. Tried to do another one. Then he couldn't make it. And then I was like, I sent him an email. I was like, I'm not gonna shadow you. I'm on your team.
Right.
And I sent him my resume and just all the things and an email that said, I'm on your team.
What worked about that relationship for you?
You know, I think that because we had very kind of different styles and approaches,
Yeah.
what he was kind of put a spotlight on what I am in a way.
Yeah.
You know, because there was I benefited from a certain contrast.
Right.
At the same time, when he was doing a lot of production, I met so many great people at those open houses. I'd do an open house like in 2015, 2016, I'd walk out with like 10 contacts.
Yeah.
It's great.
Why? What was your secret sauce? What was making those connections?
I enjoy connecting with people.
Yeah.
You know, and not everyone's gonna connect with you. We all know that. You know, you're gonna get rejection and all that. But like sometimes there just be like a vibe. There's something that clicks, and I'm just like, oh, this person.
Were more of your leads coming directly from Anthony because he couldn't handle the business he had, or were the open houses your opportunity and you were just pulling in business?
Both, but heavier on the open house side.
Okay, so you just needed to be in the room.
Yeah.
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 And your experience with Anthony put you in the room.
It did.
Put you in front of people.
Yeah, got me into, you know, at the seat at some really wonderful tables.
Right. And how much of a difference did that make? How quickly did you gain traction with that dynamic with this?
By 2015, my production went, well, 2012 I did one transaction. 2013 I probably did 6. 2014, 10.
Yeah.
You know, so by 16, 17 I was like averaging 20 to 25 deals a year.
Yeah. And Anthony had a real hold on Parker Highlands at that point.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you know you've got this new listing coming up on Trust of Land or wherever, and
Right.
you're gonna hold it up on Saturday. What would you do to prepare for that?
Put out lots of signs. So, you know, big proponent of putting out the signs. But, you know, at that time too, I mean, Trestle Blend still kind of is. I mean, open houses are still good and all that. There are fewer buyers now than there were and all that kind of stuff. But the listings would attract people. I mean, people would come to these listings. We didn't do Saturdays, we only did Sundays.
Right.
Only did Sundays. And you know, sometimes we have the neighborhood party at the beginning. So I learned a lot of like interesting sort of tips for the more higher end listings and how we're gonna treat that maybe differently than we would like a 2-1, you know, somewhere over here.
What are you doing to stay in touch with people?
What am I doing to stay in touch with people?
At
Not
this phase
enough.
in your life?
Not enough. I gotta be doing more outreach for sure. But as far as clients go, I have a database of all my past clients, and they get what I'm doing. So they're always going to get an email when we have a new listing. They're gonna get the postcard when we have a new listing. And that's been effective, even though it's somewhat passive, and I wanna up my game in that. We've always gotta be improving. We've always gotta be improving. But that's borne fruit. Like even the Harvard listing was my buyer from 2015. It's great. So a lot of my, you know, a lot of the clients, not everybody, but more than not, come back to me when it's time to sell.
How have you found joy in Berkeley outside of real estate?
Well, I'm blessed that I have a wonderful relationship. So me and Samantha have lots of fun together. We got married later in life, so the kid thing didn't manifest for us, which was fine. We've got nieces and nephews and all that kind of stuff, and now a dog and a cat. You know, we were able to purchase real estate. You know, so we have a little house in Lafayette that we love. And there's just, you know, real estate takes up lots of your time. It'll take as much time as you allocate to it and more. You know, so you kind of have to put up some barriers to have some of your own mental space. But you know, we enjoy one another's company. I'm just lucky in that regard. We're going to be married in September, 14 years together for 17 years. The longest either one of us has been in a committed relationship, and it's been wonderful. You know, and then, you know, while I don't perform anymore, except for here and there, like the little harmonica treatment earlier, music still factors large in both of our lives, and Samantha plays a little bit too. So I'm in charge of old music, she's in charge of new music.
Yeah. Can you share with me like a great music memory for you?
A great
When were you just like in the flow? When was something just like an apex for you?
You know, there's so many. It's hard to choose, and you know, the context of performance. Yes, sometimes playing those little clubs were just freaking wonderful. Especially I was doing like the band thing, but I also did the singer-songwriter thing, and I had some really wonderful, intimate like crowds where you're connecting with your audience, and it's just like it's alive. It becomes something else. You're not even there anymore.
Can you pull anything out of your experience of being a musician and a performer that applies to your secret sauce in real estate?
What doesn't? I mean, it's kind of good if you've done flyers for your band, telephone poles, stuff like that. Not that much different than, you know, like doing your mailers and stuff. So there's a performance aspect, and you know, I think it's good to sort of have that. I mean, I trained introvert on my off hours. You know, I'll be in my own space. You know, but it's nice to have that in my background, the performance thing that I could turn on for doing the real estate stuff. Very transferable. You know, as you know, as someone who did theater.
Yeah.
You know, those skills help.
I feel like you know, like you have really honed your narratives around objections and I feel like you understand when you're in the presence of somebody and what their objections are, and you know the words and the behaviors to sort of unlock them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Samantha will you know, say you're everybody's therapist, or I hear you say the same thing 5 times, but you have to say it 5 different ways. Yeah, I mean, I love language. I love words. I love the English language and just different ways we can phrase things. And that probably my love of language comes out of both songwriting and also like working for attorneys.
Yeah.
Where language is the stock and trade. Right. So that experience, you know, like seeing Nick Mariano at the closing table, because on the East Coast when you close, everybody gets together. The lenders there, realtors there, buyers there, sellers there. Everyone's around a conference table signing documents. And I remember Nick turning to one of the guys and going, who's having objections at the last minute. And I mean, I don't use this in my dialogues, but hearing him just sort of bluster, "Sign it, you big baby," was hilarious. It was pretty good. 2 times a day. But as far as objections go, it's like, well, what is the objection? Because sometimes the objection is not an objection. It's just a block. Yeah, it's a block sometimes. Sometimes it's just a condition. Yeah. You know, oh, I don't like this about that. Okay, cool. I don't like the way my shoes fit after I eat pizza. Right. What are you gonna do? Right. You know, I've been using like buyer representation agreements, the BRBC, they're called now, forever. I've been using this since 2014. Early adopter. Yeah. And I remember once, you know, doing a buyer consultation early in my career, and I somehow attract attorneys too. So I've got a lot of attorney clients. I love working with attorneys. Yeah. But I was working with this one guy who was just like, you know, I've bought and sold a lot of houses, and I've never had to sign one of these. But I was like, totally get that. And I may be one of the few agents who use these right now. But let me ask you this. Did you ever take a client without a retainer agreement? Here's the thing.
Yeah, there's a pen. When did you decide to go off on your own? Going back to your
Yeah.
early years to now the Robert Jones brand.
Yeehaw. So yeah, that was 2021. I started to try to build the war chest, as Nicole knows. Nicole was working with me there.
Did you ever do listings with Anthony, or were you always
Yeah.
the buy side? Okay.
Yeah, I did listings, but most of my listings were return clients.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it would still be under the Anthony name, my name would be on a rider, and, you know, it was all Anthony in the MLS, which I didn't love, especially toward the end, where, it was just, I just kind of felt like I was outgrowing that situation.
Yeah.
You know, my production levels were such that being on a team without my name being out there seemed to be problematic.
Yeah.
So it was time to change.
Yeah.
And seeing some of the agents that I really respect and admire, you, Claudia Mills, Castle Brown, many of the names that are on the board over there, kind of come over here from Sotheby's and other brokerages. It's like, all right, let's find out what's going on with this KW thing. Let's see what's going on here.
Right.
And it's been lovely.
Well, you also built out your brand.
Yeah.
You do your own thing now.
Which is super cool.
How's that going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, there's ups and downs, and it's not like this year's been the most rock and roll year ever. So it's been like, all right, well, we're gonna tighten the belts a little bit and try and look at what do I not know that I need to know.
Right.
There's what you know, there's what you know you don't know, but then there's an even bigger thing of you don't know you don't know. And that's the realm I'm trying to get into.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But there's people. There's people out there, and there's people transacting. Even in the worst of markets, people transact. They're the D's. People's lives change. Death, divorce, diamonds, diapers, you name it. Diplomas. That's another good one.
Are your brothers and father still with us?
My father passed, right around COVID time, and he was a COVID. He was kind of going out, so I think it was like we call that a comorbidity.
Yeah.
But so we lost him in early 2020. Yeah, my brothers are still around. One lives in Italy. He has 2 kids and a wonderful wife, and he's having fun out there, which is good. And they just bought a place in the UK. That's where his wife is from.
Right.
They met in China, and he's got a wild life. We got to bring him younger. Yeah, the older is more like steady Eddie guy. So he
The punk guy.
the punk guy, got a job at like DuPont, quit the band, and decided I'm gonna work for DuPont. Cool. Yeah. Younger brother and I always had a better relationship than older brother and I, but what are you gonna do?
How was your the relationship with your dad towards the end?
Okay. He was sort of kind of losing it a little bit cognitively, but we always had a good relationship. Like when I went back east once a year or so when I could, of course we're gonna spend time with him, And our relationship, where sometimes it was stress or whatever, who's isn't with their parents, love him. And I knew he loved me. So,
what about your grandparents?
Well, my grandfather died before my grandmother. My grandmother died in the early 2000s, 2004, I want to say. Great relationship with her. I mean, she was just a rock. Her and my mother's sister, my Aunt Rose, just a rock. So who's no longer with us.
They stayed in the Bronx the whole time.
No, my aunt and her husband moved to Sayreville, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, and raised their 2 daughters there. One is an attorney in Connecticut, and the other one lives in British Columbia.
Do you miss anything about the East Coast?
Yeah.
What?
Fall. Yeah, I love New York. I do love New York. I love walking around there and steeping in that energy. But I'm not going back because I don't miss hot, crazy, sticky summers with mosquitoes that'll carry away small cats. Winters and shoveling snow and ice conditions and all that. There's less of that now. It's true. I like it, but I love it here. I love what Samantha and I have been able to build. The professionals that I get to surround myself with, the people that I get to work with love it. I wake up every day like ready to go.
How did this team come together?
Well, it started out with me and Nicole, and Nicole is graduating, so to speak. So today's really her last day. And she's going to be going to a different brokerage, and she's going to be super successful. I'm so proud of you.
Well, we can all still work together.
Oh,
That's the goal.
Kenny's here. Come on. Yeah, absolutely. People from different brokerages are here, which is great. I mean, the brand or whatever. You're the brand. You are the brand. You.
It's so hard for people to get that.
I know, it's hard. It's hard for people to say
Well,
sales
not everybody
without
wants to be a brand.
too.
Not everybody wants to be a brand.
Yeah, not everyone wants to be a
People
brand.
want to be a sub-brand.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's something for everyone to do. There's a way to contribute. But Nicole started off as my assistant, believe it or not. And then she was just great. And when it was time to leave, she came with me and she's like, I want to be an agent. So she was so helpful in training our virtual assistant, who does like 70% of what you did, because she can't be in the field, of course. But she's wonderful. And then Linda joined the team more recently. She started off as my mentee, and just kills it. You know, and everyone's got their own things. And I want the agents on my team to never feel like it's indentured servitude, and it's going to be weird when you leave, and all that. It's a graduation. You know, I mean, it's weird for someone to be on a team as long as I was. It worked until it didn't, and that's fine. But usually people are on a team for about 2 to 5 years.
You gotta be happy with people.
Totally, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, absolutely. I mean, other people being successful, that's the thing. It's like, never let that depress you. Because there's enough business for everybody. And seeing someone close to you do well or have a really awesome transaction or whatever it is, that should be something that you celebrate with them and just be glad that it's there. You know, if I ever get depressed, and you know, everyone gets worried about business or this and that. When you're driving, notice the new car plates. Every time you see like a Mercedes or some kind of new car with a paper plate from the dealership, what's that, $150,000? Just, it's in the air. So every time I see that, I'm like, whoa, people are spending money. People did not stop spending money. It's still gonna be a thing. And people need houses the way we need milk and bread. So it's not gonna go out of style anytime soon.
Anything you do differently in your career?
From when?
2005.
Sure, oh my goodness, yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, 2008, absolutely. Well, I was more like day job dependent. So I thought like an employee. You know, and I had to like shift that and start thinking like an entrepreneur.
Right.
Or like Nick Mariano put it to me in a really interesting way, and I've told other people this too, share it far and wide. When you're a real estate agent, you're a politician. Everyone should know what you're doing. Everyone you know should know you're an agent. You know, no one likes to get that call from their buddy. It's like, I just bought a house, I'm so excited. And you're like, did you know I'm a real estate agent? No. Really? Yeah, that kind of stuff. But it's fun. I mean, I love that every day is different. You know, I mean, sure, you'll see me here a lot because I like office environments. I do enjoy that.
You have a structure to you're disciplined.
Yeah. Surprising.
No, you're really disciplined. I come in here and you're always in there.
Yeah, well, you know,
When you're not.
that's a
When
good
you're
place to
coming
do
you.
calls.
Yeah.
That's a great place to do calls. I do calls from the home office too, and the home office is great. But I've got a lot of distractions at the home office. You know, I've got other things to do, and I'll be like, oh, I want to work on that project, and why, you know, the dog needs a walk, and you know, this, that, and the other, all of the things. You know, and it's wonderful to have Samantha as a partner, and like, you know, be in a position where she got to a point in her career going up the chain into like management at Anchor, an environmental firm, and she was doing well, but she was like, I feel like I'm in sales now. All I'm doing is securing accounts. I don't want to be in sales. I was like, I like sales. How about you don't do that anymore, and you do whatever you want. So in 2015 or 16, I forget which, I think it's 15, she was able to leave that job, and she did a second master's at CIIS, where Andrea Gordon was doing her PhD at CIIS, which was cool. And now she is pretty much like, okay, she writes, she reads, and she manages our home. And that's great. I'm into it.
How would you define what you do?
What do I do?
What's your job?
My job is entrepreneur. You know, my job is trying to get in front of as many people as possible and have substantive conversations about real estate. Set appointments. That is my job. Learn.
Where your words will impact their sense of your expertise and their trust in you.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you have, your
Yeah.
words and your power.
Well, yeah, and also, you know, when you make a commitment, stick to it, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, yeah, and I like that real estate does have a creative aspect to it, but also, so it kind of marries the two parts of it.
What's creative about it?
What's creative about it? Well, like, you know, when you're doing like a marketing campaign, or even when you're composing an email,
Yeah.
there's a creativity in that.
Yeah.
Can we use language to not force somebody to do something, but can we use compelling language to bring someone on board to your way of thinking?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Perfectly said.
And can you like take the teeth out of their fears?
Yeah.
With your words.
Oh, so well said, Art. Really good.
Yeah, because a lot of the times people are holding themselves back from what they want most.
You take the teeth out of their fears.
Take the teeth out.
Advice for new or struggling agents?
New and struggling agents. Well, the struggle is real.
Thank you. I feel seen.
There's nothing wrong with that. You learn nothing from happy times.
It sucks at first. For
Of course,
most people.
oh my
It's
goodness.
hard.
You feel alone. Oh man, I did not like Better Homes and Gardens. Everything's close to their chest. No one shared. Sotheby's was much more supportive in this environment. Yeah, I find it so far top notch as far as the support goes. But struggling, you're gonna learn from your struggles. You know, try to not let them depress you or force you into isolation. Isolation and anonymity are the enemies. Fast. I know those guys, I used to see his signs everywhere.
It's a branding genius. That's
Totally.
good.
Oh my goodness. But like, yeah, so it's like, all right, well, can we have conversations? Can conversations be more uplifting than doom scrolling? Yes. Absolutely. You can kind of hack your own dopaminergic system by having conversations with people. And if you can't have conversations with a client, have conversations with another agent. Find out what they're doing. You love that listing. People love getting those calls. I love getting calls on my listings. Who doesn't? And even if you don't have a buyer, you know, all right, well, you're going to engage this person. You'll have a conversation. They're going to remember that conversation or something about the vibe. And then when it is time to transact with that individual, maybe you already have a relationship you can leverage. Yep. So get in front of people. Even if they're not buyers and sellers today, they might be tomorrow or 5 years from now. And you'll still be business 5 years from now, God willing.
All right, we're gonna open up to questions, but before that, we always steal from James Lipton and do the Bernard Kibo questions. So
Nice. What is your favorite curse word?
What's your favorite word before we get to the first word?
So many. Like, I love language. I'm loquacious. What is my favorite word?
In this moment.
In this moment, love.
What's your least favorite word?
No.
Everybody knows.
Amazing. Amazing. Simple.
All right, this one's gonna be what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
A lot of, I mean, there's so many things too, like things that you can get inspiration from. You know, like a good piece of music. You know, something, an idea. You know, sometimes even little quotes of the day kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of what recently we were kind of playing with. What creatively? What gets me going? Spiritually. Oh my goodness. Well, spiritual experiences are here with us all the time. You know, I mean, you know, enlightenment, the Buddha said something about enlightenment being immediate and always accessible. You know, and like, what does that mean? It means getting out of your head. You know, your head. Oh, it can be a scary place to be.
So you're turned on by being present?
I like being, being present. You know, feeling good in my body. You know, I'm blessed that I have good health. I mean, that's one of the things. You got to take care of yourself. Try to get enough rest and that kind of stuff. I mean, usually if I kind of am going dark or depressed, I'm not getting sleep. I'm not taking care of myself, you know, when that kind of stuff happens. But, you know, what is it? Well, we have this wonderful weather. Every time I drive from the tunnel over here and I see the bay on 24, that's like, that's a light. That's wonderful. Oh, yeah. And there's so many really cool things, or having something to look forward to, you know, like a weekend away, going to freaking Indian Hot Springs, or a great dinner, or just being able to like kick off my shoes, unplug, and kind of like, you know, watch Netflix with Samantha.
Yeah.
Cool.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, emotionally?
The word no. When I get in my own way, you know, like when I start feeling stale about things, either in my career, where I feel like I'm kind of spinning my wheels, that those low energy moments that are usually, I think, largely chemical.
Right.
You know, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not getting enough sleep, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What turns you off? I mean, you know, when people are kind of like, when people are like standoffish, you know, or like when agents ghost me. Yeah, that's the worst. This guy never did that, ever. So good. But like, you know, you call someone, you got a deal that's out there, your clients are getting very impatient, and they can't be bothered to call you back. That is rough. You know? Or like, you know, when you call somebody, they're just like, you know, I don't know. Not every conversation is going to be good in hacking the dopaminergic system. Sometimes it's just going to be like you're talking to somebody and they just sound like, it's like talking to Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It's like, okay, it's not that bad, guys.
Okay, what is your favorite curse word?
What is your favorite curse word? You know, I don't use a lot of expletives because they are exactly that, and I feel they should be that. Expletives to give some pop. But yeah, I'll you know, we'll want to keep it PG, but I'll throw the F word around here once in a while, once in a very blue moon. You know, I don't love horses.
My goal is to hear him say that word.
I've had the honor.
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? Laughter.
Sound or noise do you hate?
The word no. That, like, you know, noises. You know, as someone who loves music and plays music, you know, it's hard not to find rhythm in almost everything, from like your windshield wipers, your turn signals. Like, there's stuff all around that can be played with. Yeah. You know what I don't like though? When you walk up to somebody's house and they got the 3 yippy dogs and they're just like, they won't stop.
I got those yippy dogs.
I was so worried. When we got our dog, I was so worried because I didn't grow up with dogs. Wasn't a little dog. And also we live in rental property, so that's not no for dogs. So I was worried when we got Shani, our little husky. She was wonderful, my goodness. Love her, feel like I've always had a dog. Her temperament is so chill. Like, even somebody she doesn't know walks up to the door. Maybe this is not a great thing, but she's like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" Yeah, not barky at all.
What have you got for me?
Exactly. You have to.
What profession other than your own would you like to attend?
Oh my goodness. You know, I've mused with the idea of going to, you know, doing the degree thing and pursuing law, but nope. I'd rather do this. And I did the band thing, which I loved dearly, but, you know, I'm 54 years old. I had no desire to play a club till 2 in the morning and then, you know, get up and go to work and do the things. Too much. I really don't know. I mean, I'm happy with what I'm doing, that I really don't see myself looking to some sort of greener pasture with any kind of like, covetousness, if you will. Yeah, don't know. That's a tough one. Tough one.
Isn't happiness wanting what you have? What profession would you clearly not like to do?
So many. What profession would I not like to do? I wouldn't want to be a career politician. Yeah, at this, you know, talking to my friends and colleagues and clients rather who are or were attorneys, I wouldn't go in that direction.
All right, last one. If heaven
you said you didn't want to be a career politician.
Yeah.
Would you be a politician?
We are.
Yeah.
You can't not be.
It's interesting because he referred to himself as being a bit of a politician.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't want to be a politician.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a career politician. I wouldn't want to be a legislator. I wouldn't want to be someone who constantly has to just like, I feel like those guys don't do a lot of legislating. They do mostly fundraising.
Yeah.
And we do fundraising too, but we're trying to help people transact. So I think there's a political aspect to any public-facing career. There's a little bit of that.
Especially with social media.
Oh my goodness.
Go.
Do you have any like moments, because I find myself throughout my real estate career having these like aha moments where it's like, oh my gosh, something just connects. Is there any like big aha moments that you could share, like that, where it's like almost like you had an epiphany and like, you know.
And it changed your course.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's like little, I can't point to any one big thing. I certainly, when I joined Anthony's team back in the day, in 2013-14, that was great, and feeling like what a team dynamic can be, why I still believe real estate is a team sport. And you're better when you have more people around you that you can learn from, grow from, all that kind of stuff. But it's like when I get something that I didn't know before. I remember when 2016 I read a terrible book that has a lot of great information by a tool of a guy, but it's a good one. Sell or Be Sold, Grant Cardone.
So like you told me.
I did. It's hard to get through.
It was.
It's hard to get through. Yeah, there's a lot of cringe moments he's got tied up in there. But there were also a lot of good things, like don't be afraid of the word sales. That was wonderful. What an epiphany. How great. Our role here isn't to like push people into things, but it's to help them get what they want when they're in their own way.
Yeah. Can you elaborate more about that? Like when someone in the purchasing process, a follow up. How do you follow up but not being like pushing? What do you think about this? Like sometimes especially first time buyers, they hesitate. Like they have to get one way or the other, but they're not quite ready. But they're the right thing.
Mhm.
What do you think for yourself and how do you?
Well, especially with first-time buyers or when the relationship is new, I try to have as many conversations woven into the real estate conversation that aren't about real estate. Because the more I can learn about what they like, who they are as people, it makes those follow-up calls so much easier. It's like, we were talking about Led Zeppelin, for example, and maybe I had just heard or thought of a Led Zeppelin tune that I haven't thought about in a while. And when I'm calling, maybe I'm mentioning that. Something that we already talked about, to kind of piggyback on it. As far as the first-time home buyer who's hesitating, really depends on where you are in that relationship or in that cycle with that person. I've had cycles with buyers that were 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, but I've also had the 5 and 7 year slog before somebody bought a house. On the 5 and 7 year slog people, we're not out every weekend. They're the on again, off again, but we keep the relationship going, kind of a thing. The new people, I try and be really patient with for the first 10 homes that we see. And then once we start getting into those reruns, it's we gotta have a couple of real conversations of what are you looking for? And we've been to a lot of homes so far. What's been the problem? And I've had clients like that. Hello, Bruce and Tracy. Love them all day long.
That's the first people I
I just visited Chris the other week or so ago. They're doing good over there. But they were every week and they couldn't find the thing. We probably saw 100 houses.
No, it was like 230.
Hello, thank you.
Spreadsheet.
She was insisting during
Spreadsheet.
that time. Yes, that was a lot of action. But it's weird. I mean, it's sort of like there's no one thing to do because every situation is going to be different. How do you feel at the end of that, that showing appointment? Do you feel like things have moved one way or the other? I've fired clients before, people who just want to be your buddy. Some people are just looking for a buddy. It's cool, I've got those. A lot of my clients who want to do stuff, that's what I'm here for. So everyone's going to be a little bit different, but I'd exercise a lot of patience, you know, and try to get to know the person. And I'm not afraid, like some people are like, you know, my other agent wouldn't even take me out to see properties until I gave them a pre-approval letter. I never do that. I never do that. I want to take people out as soon as they're ready to go out. I want to start having experiences with them that we can build on. Because when they see something that they like and they're not pre-approved yet, that's going to light a fire under them to get pre-approved. Telling them no bears little fruit with rare exception.
The word no again.
I know, it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In your busy career, do you find any time to play music still, or is that something that?
Almost every day. Almost every day. To Samantha's credit, she'd be like, you know, I'll get home from work and I'll just be like talking way in left brain. And she's like, put a guitar, get it, play a guitar, get a guitar, pick up a guitar. So I have them out, like they're out in my living room. I was worried about getting the dog because I leave my guitars on case and on stands. She's more spatially aware than I am. I'm more likely to bump into a guitar than she is. I've got one here that like, I'll just like, even if I can't do anything, like if I'm tempted to like, oh, let me pick up Facebook, like a chucklehead, and waste time that way. It's like, you know, maybe just go through the, play Matteo Cortasi Study in A minor. Just do it. Just do that. You know, first, so to answer your question, yes. And if you're a musician, I know you are, you too. All the musicians who might be here, yeah, baby. So,
We're gonna try to bring some music into this office, like have just like get-togethers and play music.
yeah, sweet. Yeah, Joe Dickerson plays some guitar.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, so it's good. You gotta keep that. You gotta keep that going. I think it'll help you get out of it. It helps me get out of like just too much real estate.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Given how refreshingly playful you are, what compels you to dress so impeccably professional?
Yeah, the dapper thing.
Well, the way I think about it, and it's also part of like my sort of I used to dress in, you know, very least like shirt tie, you know, dress pants every day for work on the East Coast. That's just what we were doing back then. And for now, I mean, there's a certain, you know, I find when I'm in jeans and a t-shirt, people treat me differently. When I'm in a suit and a tie, people treat me differently toward the positive end. Also, while I like wearing suits and I think they're cool and all that, I'm gonna meet new people. I wanna make a good first impression. And I don't think a Hawaiian shirt's the way to do it. You know, for me, you know, the way I see it, I'm always on a job interview. I'm always unemployed to a degree. So I'm interviewing every day. And I like to keep that consistency. And if I can be the last guy in a suit, I will be the last guy in a suit.
It's a East Coast thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think very good. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else? Yeah.
You know, like we see like those logos, gatherings, and sometimes the gathering luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they categorize luxury property as an other category. How do you feel like doing luxury property different?
The way I see luxury, and I know it can be a cringy word, so I do like the Bay Area portfolio, and I'm using that for the most part on my signage and stuff. But I see luxury as more of an experience. Like when you're treated well, like when you go, like food service, like when I'm dealing with people, or like clients or people that I might hire or stuff like that, when I hear they have food service in their background, it makes me so happy, because I know they can really, you know, deal with hungry, angry people and work in a crunch. Work in a crunch when things are like, oh, go, get it. As far as luxury goes, I see it as an experience. So when I'm working with somebody buying a $400,000 condominium, and I've got 2 of them right now, I'm into it. I want them to have the experience of being taken care of being, you know, pampered. Every question gets answered. There's no stupid questions. You know, when you feel like you're being hurried, when you get bad service in the restaurant, bad service in a luxury restaurant is comical, and it happens. Not that I frequent those establishments often, but you know, yeah. So I see that as an experience more than, okay, I have to have every listing's got to be a $5 million listing. Nope. Buyers and sellers, no matter what they're selling, should be treated to a luxury experience. That's what I'm here to purvey and provide.